Hello, I hope you're having a lovely day today. I imagine that a lot of you watching this are preparing for Thanksgiving and probably cooking or cleaning while watching this, or you are taking a break from cooking and cleaning and enjoying a cup of tea or coffee and watching this. Either way, I hope that you're having a wonderful day today. Normally I have notes in front of me just so I stay on track because I can tend to ramble. I have no notes today. I am just going to speak from my heart in this video, how practicing gratitude can be life-changing. You know, you hear cliche sayings about, I don't know, just gratitude and all of those things. And it's like, well, obviously, when you're grateful, obviously it affects your attitude. And it's things that we know. You hear these things all the time. But I'm hoping that maybe sharing my personal story attached with it will be a blessing to you. And I am sharing some things that I typically do not share on. So yeah, I hope that it encourages you. Before I get into that, I wanted to read a little excerpt from, this is a book of Laura Ingalls Wilder's essays for adults. I've never actually read her Little House on the Prairie books. If you've seen my more recent videos, you'll see that I just bought the whole set. I am so excited to read through them this winter. I'm reading The Enchanted Barn right now by Grace Livingston Hill, that one of you recommended to me, and it is the sweetest book. I love it so much. I'm so thankful for your recommendations of old books. I think after this one I may start the Little House on the Prairie series. But this is a book of her essays. It's very simple. The essays are very short, and it is just a really pretty book, as with a lot of old books. I'm going to show you this old book that I bought. I was talking to Scott the other day and I said, why do they not make books like this anymore? I'm going to go show it to you. Here's the book. Isn't it so pretty? It is this plum purple color, and it is like stamped into, and this book came out in 1911, and it's a fiction book. It's called The Following of the Star. When I saw it, I just thought it was the most beautiful book. It's so pretty, and I actually am going to read this. That's why I bought it, not only because it's beautiful, but also because I was skimming through it and it looked like a wholesome book, and it's just so pretty. But I'm like, why are all books now in paperback? Obviously, it's cheaper to print, but there's just something so rich and valuable to me about hardback books that are just so pretty. I love it so much. So I am going to read from this book. So this essay is called Thanks for the Harvest. The season is over, 1921. The rush and struggle of growing and saving the crops is past for another year. The time has come when we pause and reverently give thanks for the harvest, for it is not to our efforts alone that our measure of success is due, but to the life principle in the earth and the seed, to the sunshine and to the rain, to the goodness of God. We may not be altogether satisfied with the year's results, and we can do a terrific amount of grumbling when we take the notion. But I am sure we all know in our hearts that we have a great deal for which to be thankful. In spite of disappointment and weariness and perhaps sorrow, His goodness and mercy does follow us all the days of our lives. And then she quotes Lamentations 3:21 through 26. This I recall to my mind, therefore have I hope. It is because of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because His compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. I thought that this little essay was perfect for this video on how practicing gratitude has changed my life this year. I kind of briefly mentioned it in a video I did this summer where I talked about waiting and dealing with disappointment. And sometimes I'm pretty vague about things because as much as it seems contradictory to have a YouTube channel, I actually do really value my personal life, and I don't actually share much of my personal life on here, as weird as that seems. My hope is that everything I share will be edifying, but that it would then be made personal for you and your circumstances. But this has been something that I have been pondering on, and I always do pray about what to do videos on, and I felt like I was supposed to do a video on this topic. Yeah, I pray that it is encouraging to you. So earlier this year in February, I was reading a book, and the author was talking about having a renewed mind and considering every single day blessed. That we don't have to wait until a promise is fulfilled to consider our life as blessed right now. This book is not written to Christians, although I do think the author is a Christian. This one section the question was brought up of, what if you thought of your life as blessed right now? And I read this in February and got so convicted. And I feel like this lie that I was believing was completely exposed, that I had in my mind that life will be blessed when this happens. Until then, life is a constant state of having hope, but not yet living in a place of that hope fulfilled. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is the tree of life. And I felt like I was, without even fully realizing it, because I wouldn't have said, because I think that's what's hard about when you have hope for something. You don't actually realize when you're focusing so much on hoping for something that maybe you're not totally living in the present and being grateful for the blessings that you have right now, because you're so focused on being hopeful for what you deeply desire. And in our case, that's children. And I don't really go into this subject at all on here because to me, it is our biggest pearl. And I don't want to share this pearl with people because the internet is ruthless and people are mean. And even if you have the best intentions, people make comments about things that they don't know anything about. So this is very much a pearl in our life. If anything, I just share that, yeah, we want children. We haven't been blessed with children yet because it's kind of weird, in my opinion, to have a homemaking Christian YouTube channel and to not have children. I never want people to think that we are purposefully not having children, because that's just not the case at all. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people are choosing to not have children. And so I do feel this need to explain, not only on here, but in real life. It's like, we're not choosing not to have children. We actually really want children. We just haven't been blessed with children. That's why I do make caveats, especially when I talk about being a homemaker and quitting my job to come home, even without having children and having never seen that before. And my testimony of, I don't have to wait until God blesses us with children for me to be a full-time keeper of the home, especially when that is what Scott is asking me to do. Especially when I've never seen, at that point in time, I'd never seen anyone quit their job to be a homemaker without the reason being of having children, to come home to be a stay-at-home mom. All of that being said, I don't talk about any of the stuff with us having children because it's very personal. So I'm going to ask you to not comment and give suggestions and advice and tell us all the things that we need to be doing, not doing. I am not sharing on that. And I'm also not asking for advice on any of those things. That is totally separate from this video. But when I read from this chapter and this thought of, what if you considered yourself blessed right now? I felt like this lie was removed from me, that I will be blessed when I am pregnant, or I will be blessed when we have children. And I got really convicted. And I thought, you know what? I am going to start declaring and believing that I am blessed right now. And I am going to choose to believe that right now I am blessed. that Scott and I are both blessed, and that God has a plan for us right now, even if we don't understand his ways, we don't understand his timing. God is not withholding good from us. We don't know why we are not with children, but I am not going to live as a victim to our circumstances, and instead I am going to focus on all of the things that I have to be grateful for right now. And in that book, one of the things that she recommended was every night before going to bed, having a journal and listing 5 things that you're grateful for. What we started doing back in February, instead of having a journal, I would just start asking Scott every night, what are 5 things that you're grateful for? And then I would say the 5 things that I'm grateful for. And it has become an every single day habit for us. Every single evening as we get into bed, one of us will ask the other first, what are you grateful for? It is one of my favorite things to do before bed. Every single night we do this now. And it is so fun to reflect on our day and think about all of the things that we have to be grateful for. I feel like it's the perfect way of going to sleep, filled with thankfulness and gratitude to the Lord for the day that he has given us. And instead of dwelling on the things that we don't have, the promises that aren't yet fulfilled, instead to be grateful for what we do have and what God has done in our life, and that we have each other, we have our family, we have friends, we have our chickens, we have our home. And depending on the night, sometimes it's like the littlest of things. Like if one of us is having a hard day, we just find like the simplest of things, like our chickens making us laugh, or, it could be anything. And there's some nights that when I've had a hard day, I'm like, I really don't want to share what I'm grateful for, but I will. And that's good too. Saying out loud what you're grateful for, even when I don't feel like saying what I'm grateful for. It totally changes your mindset. It has removed me from dwelling on what we don't have or dwelling on where we're not, and being focused on all of the blessings that we have right now, and that I am blessed right now, even in these circumstances that I would have never in a million years choose, and I would never choose for anyone to have to walk through, that I can still find thankfulness even now. I think sometimes people, actually I know, because some of you have messaged me and said, how do you do it? Like, how are you okay with not having children? I'm not okay with not having children. I still very much have hope for having children. I just cannot dwell on it. I cannot constantly live in a place of dwelling on what we do not have. Otherwise, I would be a horrible wife to Scott if I lived in a state of despair. And I don't want to be a wife who is sad all the time. I want to be a cheerful wife. And part of being a cheerful wife is choosing to be grateful in every season. What Paul says in Philippians 4 has resonated with me so much. He said, "For I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." And it's not through our own strength, it is through Christ who strengthens us. It is Jesus who gives us the ability to be grateful in every circumstance. Our hope is not in what he can do for us. Our hope is in him, and God is a good father, and he loves us and he helps us. He gives us strength in every circumstance, and we still have hope. I love the line from Anne of Green Gables when, actually I'm going to pull up this quote because it's so good and I do not want to butcher it. Okay, I found the quote. So Marilla says to Anne, "You set your heart too much on things, Anne. I'm afraid there'll be a great many disappointments in store for you through life." And then Anne says, "Oh, Marilla, looking forward to things is half the pleasure of them. You mayn't get the things themselves, but nothing can prevent you from having the fun of looking forward to them." Mrs. Lynde says, "Blessed are those who expect nothing, for they shall not be disappointed. But I think it would be worse to expect nothing than to be disappointed." When I read that last year, it resonated so much to me because it is a tension. I do still very much have hope that we will be blessed with children, and so much of our life is still built around that hope. I'm constantly learning new skills, thinking, you know what, when God blesses us with children, my time doing some hobbies that I like or learning new skills will be lessened, so I want to learn everything that I can right now. And I think that's part of not wasting any season and not wasting any moment. So yes, I have hope. Yes, I'm always thinking with us building our homestead, it is for our future children. We pray for that. But also choosing to be grateful for where we are right now, that Scott and I have each other. It's a blessing to be married, so it's both and. But I never want to lose being grateful for where I am right now because I'm disappointed because what I thought would be right now isn't what's happening right now. And I think that that could apply to anyone. Even if you have been blessed with many children, you could have another desire of your heart that hasn't been fulfilled. And on that note, with it being Thanksgiving, I really want to encourage you, if you have been blessed with children, to truly think of your children as a blessing, because that is what God's word says. Children are an inheritance from the Lord. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. Your wife shall be a fruitful vine in your house. Your children shall be like olive shoots around your table. Blessed shall be the man who fears the Lord. And so don't take your children for granted, even if it is the hardest thing that you've ever done in your whole life, because it is denying yourself that you are raising your children. You are obeying the Lord by raising your children, and blessed is the man who fills his quiver. You will be blessed. You are blessed for having your children. And so from someone who has not yet been blessed with children, please refrain from grumbling about the blessing that the Lord has given you. May your heart just be filled with gratitude for your children, and may you consider your children to be a blessing. And may that be something that you are grateful for to the Lord. So I hope that you can see yourself as blessed right now, even if you have desires that have not been yet fulfilled, you have promises that you have not yet seen come into fruition. May you be able to look around and see how God has blessed you today and consider yourself blessed right now. And I hope that this video has been encouraging to you. I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a great rest of your day.